One of the biggest reasons teachers get stuck isn't lack of talent, it's lack of a streamlined path. They have the motivation, they have the skills, but without a clear approach, they waffle, second guess, and lose momentum.
I'm Lisa Harding, ex-EdTech CEO turned certified teacher career coach. It wasn't all that long ago that I was recruiting, interviewing, and hiring teachers for roles in corporate America. Teachers that ended up being some of my all-time best employees. Fast forward through my own career transition where I left my role as CEO to become a stay-at-home mom. I now work with and empower teachers to transform their lives by turning their once distant career dreams into realities. In this podcast, I give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're a burnt-out teacher or simply need a change and you're looking to create a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started.
Hey friend, welcome back to Beyond the Classroom. I'm Lisa Harding. If you're listening today because you know you want out of the classroom, or you're at least wondering if there's something else for you, I just want to say this up front. You don't have to have it all figured out to start. At the Teacher Career Transition Academy, we see this every day. A career change isn't a single decision. It's a process, and you don't have to do it perfectly. You just need a plan that keeps you moving. Because one of the biggest reasons teachers get stuck isn't lack of talent, it's lack of a streamlined path. They have the motivation, they have the skills, but they don't have a clear approach. So they waffle, second guess, and lose momentum. And here's what I've noticed over and over again. A lot of teachers want to jump straight into updating their resume and applying to jobs. And sure, can that work sometimes? Yes. But the chances of it working are much slimmer than when you put in a little bit of prep and mental work before you dive in. Because when you skip the planning step, what usually happens is this. You apply, you don't hear back, and you start thinking, it's not working. You get frustrated, you burn out, and then you stop. Not because you weren't capable, and not because leaving teaching wasn't possible, but because you tried to do a huge life change on top of a full-time teaching job without a clear plan. So today, I want to give you a shortcut. This episode is inspired by an on-demand coaching session inside the Teacher Career Transition Academy, led by certified career coach Shannon Schwebler, called Career Change Considerations. I'm going to share some of the biggest takeaways in a way that helps you move forward without feeling overwhelmed. And then, if you want to go deeper with Shannon's full training and coaching prompts, I'll tell you how to find it inside the Academy at the end. Okay, let's talk about the kind of planning that actually makes your transition faster, not slower. Here's the big idea. You don't need to have every answer today. You just need to start thinking about the right questions. Because if you don't mentally address them, they tend to follow you around. They pop up every time you try to take action. They create doubt. They create hesitation. They create that "I don't know what I'm doing" feeling. So instead of letting those questions haunt you in the background, we're going to bring them to the front, calmly, simply, and use them to guide your next steps. The first question is, what do I actually want my life to look like? Before job titles, before industries, before you try to reverse engineer your perfect LinkedIn headline, start here. Lifestyle. Do you want to work from home? Or do you actually like leaving the house and being around people? Do you want predictable days? Or do you want variety? Do you want to collaborate with a team all day? Or do you want more independent work where you can focus? And here's a really helpful way to frame it. What do you want your average Tuesday to feel like? Not your dream day, not your vacation day, your average Tuesday. Because when teachers choose roles based only on a job title, they sometimes land in something that looks great on paper, but feels like teaching all over again in a different setting. So we start with the life you want, and then we choose roles that match it. The second question is, what are my non negotiables? This is such an important step because teachers are so used to being flexible that they forget they're allowed to have standards. You are allowed to have requirements for your next job. You are allowed to decide what you will and won't accept. Your non negotiables might include a minimum salary range, benefits, remote flexibility, no evenings or weekends, a manageable workload, a certain commute limit, a stable environment instead of constant chaos. Whatever it is for you. And you don't have to have a perfect list today, but you do need to start naming what matters most. Because if you don't define your non negotiables, you'll be tempted to say yes to anything that feels like an escape hatch. And I get it. When you're burned out, anything looks better than where you are. But we don't want you leaving one burnout situation for another. The third question is, what's my timeline? Some teachers want out immediately. Some want out by summer. Some are planning a runway over the next year. All of those timelines are valid, but your timeline impacts your strategy. It determines what you focus on first and what you save for later. It helps you stop trying to do everything at once. So I want you to be honest with yourself. Are you in emergency exit mode or strategic transition mode? And again, no judgment. Both are real. Both deserve support, but they require different plans. If you're in emergency exit mode, you might need a simple path that gets you moving quickly. So ask yourself, what skills am I open to learning over the next 30 to 90 days? And equally important, what do I absolutely not want to repeat from teaching? Maybe you don't want constant emotional labor. Maybe you don't want to take work home. Maybe you don't want to be on all day. Naming both helps you choose roles that fit and helps your transition feel less overwhelming because you're focusing your energy. The fifth question is, what does success mean to me now? This one is deeper than it sounds because teaching trains you to define success in certain ways: being needed, being helpful, being praised for sacrifice, being the person who holds everything together. But in your next chapter, success might mean something totally different. It might mean peace. It might mean pay. It might mean flexibility. It might mean being respected. It might mean having energy after work. It might mean having a job where you can grow without burning out. So I want you to finish this sentence. In my next chapter, success means, and let it be different than what it used to be. The sixth question is, what identity shifts am I going to have to navigate? This is the part nobody warns you about, and it's so normal. Even when teaching has been hard, it's still a big part of who you are. So it makes sense if you feel guilt, fear, sadness, the feeling of, who am I if I'm not a teacher? If you felt any of that, you're not being dramatic. You're being human. And this is exactly why it's better to address it early instead of pretending it isn't there. Because unaddressed identity stuff tends to show up later as procrastination, second guessing, and feeling frozen every time you try to take action. You're not stuck because you're lazy. You're stuck because your brain is trying to protect you from uncertainty. So we acknowledge that, we normalize it, and we keep moving anyway. And the seventh question is, what's my support plan? I want to say this clearly. Most teachers don't struggle because they lack information. They struggle because they're trying to do a huge life change alone on top of teaching full time. Support is what keeps you consistent when motivation fades. Support is what keeps you from spiraling after a rejection. Support is what helps you make decisions faster instead of staying stuck in what if. Support can be a friend, a coach, a community, a program, accountability, feedback, templates, a plan that tells you what to do next. You don't need everything. You just need enough support to keep moving. And that's a big reason why working with a coach or being inside a program like the Academy helps teachers move the needle so much faster than doing it alone. It gives you structure, it gives you guidance, it gives you momentum, and you stop wasting time going down rabbit holes that don't lead to results. So if you're listening and thinking, okay, I can feel how planning first would make this easier, you're exactly right. And I want to remind you again, none of this means you need to have your whole life figured out. This isn't a test, this is a tool. These considerations are here so you can stop waffling, stop second guessing, and stop feeling like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. When you put a little time into planning from the beginning, your job search becomes more focused, more efficient, and a lot less emotionally exhausting. Now, what I shared today is the high-level framework, but if you want the deeper version, where certified career coach Shannon Schwabler walks you through these decisions in more detail, with coaching prompts you can apply directly to your own situation, her full on-demand session called Career Change Considerations is available inside the Teacher Career Transition Academy. Inside the Academy, we're there with you every step of the way through mindset, career exploration, marketing materials like resumes and LinkedIn, and interviews and negotiation, so you're not trying to figure this out alone. Thanks for hanging out with me today, friend. If this episode helped, take a screenshot and share it, or send it to a teacher friend who's quietly dreaming of a new chapter. Remember, friends, the journey is just the beginning. Embrace the adventure. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and check the show notes for free resources and goodies.